So this video is going to take us through how you would go about applying to a robbery scenario. So we're looking at Eddie and Dan again, but we're going to focus in on the robbery this time. So we're going to advise Eddie whether he would be found liable for the robbery of Dan. And just as a reminder, got a little addition this time. So Eddie, whilst walking to the football match, decided to carry out violent attacks on supporters during the game. After buying his ticket, he enters the stadium, a structure made of brick with metal roof. As Dan, one of the rival supporters, was running down some steps during the half-time interval, Eddie pushed him. Dan falls heavily on one of the steps and is knocked unconscious. Eddie, pretending to help, took Dan's wallet from his coat, intending to keep it. However, when a stadium official came to help, Eddie put the wallet back. So it's important that you've already watched and understood the theft video that comes before this in the series. If you haven't, this video won't make any sense. So go back and watch that. Otherwise, let's crack on with the robbery. So you're going to start by introducing Section 8.1 of the Theft Act, defining robbery as a person is guilty of robbery if he steals, and immediately before or at the time of doing so, and in order to do so, he uses force on any person or puts or seeks to put any person in fear of being subjected to force. And it's an indictable offence, punishable with life imprisonment or an unlimited fine as a maximum. So we're going to go through each element of the Act. So first of all, you've got a completed theft. If any element of missing, then there is no theft, then there is no robbery. And the moment that the theft is completed with relevant force, then the robbery has taken place. This is seen in Robinson, where the defendant threatened the victim with a knife in order to extract money that he owed. But that means that he's not dishonest because he felt that the money was his, and therefore there wasn't a completed theft. Here, with our scenario, we can apply by saying that there is a completed theft when he took the wallet. It doesn't matter that he put it back as he appropriated the property of another, albeit for a short time, and intended to permanently deprive at least. So next up, the force or threat of force, and this is decided by the jury as to whether the acts of force were using the ordinary meaning of the word. It includes wrenching of the bag, a bag from a victim's hand. Dawson and James showed sufficient force with knocking somebody off balance, and Clouden was the case with pulling a shopping basket. Here, we've got quite a lot of force. Eddie applied force which was sufficient when he pushed him. On any person, so it doesn't need to be the owner of the property, think about a bank robbery, and the force is clearly applied to Dan when he's pushed. Immediately before or at the time of the theft, so for robbery, theft is held to be a continuing act, so you can use the force to escape. This is seen in Hale, where they're convicted of robbery because they used the force after the theft had been completed to tie up the victim and make their escape, and Lockley confirms this. But in this case, we can say Eddie used the force before he took the wallet. The force has got to be in order to steal. So force used for any other purposes isn't robbery, even if the defendant later decides to steal. And this is really important to our scenario. So in our scenario, the force was not used in order to steal. Eddie applied the force because he wanted to. We're told that he decided he wanted to carry out violent attacks. And it was opportunism on Eddie's part when he saw that the wallet was available. Moving on to the mens rea. So even though our offence has failed, we have to continue on. The mens rea for theft plus an intention to use force. And we apply by saying Eddie intended to steal the wallet and to use force. And we come to an overall conclusion and say, actually, Eddie doesn't satisfy all the elements of the offence, and therefore he's not liable for robbery. However, he would be liable for theft. So this is a really good illustration, actually, that your defendant is not always going to be liable for every single offence. It may be that there are a few offences available. The keen-eyed ones of you will have noticed that there was also a burglary in that scenario. We'll come on to that later on. Just because you've got a range of offences potentially available doesn't mean that they're going to be liable for all of them.